The gates of Shangdu rise in front of you, gilded and impossibly vast. And somewhere beyond them sits a man who rules more land than any human being in history. You have crossed deserts that have no name in any language you speak. You have climbed mountains so high your lungs forgot how to work properly. You are 17 years old when you left Venice and 21 now, and the boy who boarded that ship is someone you can barely remember. The guards at the gate step aside. You walk forward into the court of Kublai Khan. But let us go back. Back to Venice, back to the docks, back to the beginning of the longest road you will ever walk. It is 1271, and you are standing on the docks of Venice beside your father Niccolò and your uncle Maffeo, watching the city you were born in shrink behind a ship's wake for the first time in your life. Your father and uncle have done this before. They spent years at the court of Kublai Khan already, returning to Venice with a request from the great Khan himself. Bring back oil from the lamp at the Holy Sepulchre and 100 Christian scholars to debate with his court. The Pope could spare only 2 friars, who abandoned the journey within weeks, terrified of the road ahead. You do not blame them yet. You will understand their fear completely within a year. The first stretch is almost familiar. Across the Mediterranean to Acre, then overland, through territory you have at least heard described. But at Hormuz, on the edge of the Persian Gulf, something shifts. You stand at the harbor watching ships built without nails, their planks stitched together with cords soaked in fish oil, destined for India and beyond. The merchants here speak of places, Cathay, Shipangu, the Spice Islands, with the casual familiarity of men describing their own neighborhoods. You realize for the first time that the world is larger than anything Venice prepared you to imagine. You decide against the sea route to China. Too unpredictable, too dangerous for the season. You turn north and east instead, into Persia proper, and the real journey begins. Persia unfolds in extremes. You pass through cities with gardens so deliberately beautiful, they seem designed to make you weep. Irrigation channels turning desert into paradise through engineering that has been refined for 2,000 years. Then the gardens end and the Persian desert begins, and you learn what your father meant when he said the road would test you. The heat during the day is total. The cold at night arrives like a physical blow. Water is rationed by men who have crossed this exact stretch a dozen times and know precisely how much a body needs to survive it. You cross into the high country of what will later be called Afghanistan, and the altitude changes everything. The Pamir Mountains rise around you, peaks so high that later travelers will call this place the roof of the world, and you understand instantly why. The air is so thin that breathing becomes a conscious act. Your father tells you that fires here burn with a strange pale flame, and food takes twice as long to cook, the thin air robbing heat of its usual power. You camp for 12 days at the highest pass, partly to let the animals recover, partly because none of you trust your own bodies to descend safely while this dizzy. Then the Taklamakan opens ahead, the desert whose name means you go in and do not come out. And you cross it the way everyone before you has, moving from oasis to oasis, trusting guides who read the landscape the way scholars read books. You hear stories from the other merchants of travelers who heard voices calling their names in the deep desert, voices that led them away from the caravan and were never seen again. You do not know if you believe this. You stay very close to the group regardless. On the far side, the Chinese world begins to reveal itself in pieces. Walled cities, larger than anything you have seen since Venice. Paper money. Actual paper, accepted as currency with total confidence, backed by nothing but the authority of the Khan. A concept so foreign, you have to have it explained to you 3 times before it makes sense. a postal relay system of staggering efficiency, riders changing horses every 25 miles, capable of carrying messages across the entire empire faster than you would have thought possible anywhere on Earth. You begin to understand, gradually, that you are not traveling toward a powerful kingdom. You are traveling towards something that makes every kingdom you have ever heard of look small. The final approach to Shangdu takes you through rolling grassland, the Khan's summer palace rising ahead. A complex so vast it functions as a small city, marble halls connected to a bamboo palace that can be entirely disassembled and moved, a hunting park enclosed by a wall 16 miles around, stocked with deer and game for the Khan's pleasure. You have never seen wealth organized at this scale, wealth that has stopped being about possession and become instead a form of cosmic order. Kublai Khan receives you, your father, and your uncle with a formality that somehow still feels warm. He is in his 50s, broad-faced, dressed in cloth of gold, and he asks about your journey with what seems like genuine curiosity rather than ceremonial politeness. He has ruled an empire stretching from Korea to Eastern Europe, and yet he wants to know about the roads you traveled, the deserts, the mountains, the things you saw that surprised you. You answer honestly. He seems to appreciate this more than flattery. You will spend the next 17 years in his service, traveling his empire on his behalf, reporting back what you observed with the same attentiveness that impressed him in this first meeting, becoming in some ways more Mongol Chinese than Venetian, your old life receding the way Venice's skyline receded from that ship so long ago. But none of that has happened yet. Right now you are simply standing in front of him, 21 years old, having crossed more of the Earth's surface than perhaps any European before you. And he is asking you what surprised you most about the road. You think about the answer for a long moment. There is too much to choose from. The stitched ships at Hormuz, the thin pale fire of the high passes, the paper that functions as gold, the desert that swallows travelers whole. You realize standing there that the honest answer is simpler than any single image. What surprised you most is how much of the world exists entirely outside of what Venice ever imagined was real. If this journey across the medieval world moved something in you, press like. It tells the algorithm that history still matters. Subscribe for more first-person voyages through history. And tell me in the comments, which part of the road would you have found hardest? The Persian desert, the Pamir passes, or the Taklamakan?